Ma'am, good afternoon, ma'am. Uh, ma'am, ma'am, kindly unmute your mic, ma'am.
Okay. Please let me in from another ID, that is Dr. Gitanjali. I'll be presenting my presentation from that ID.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you. Am I audible, sir? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am.
Okay. So my PPT is there. Just wanted to confirm. I'm sharing my PPT. Seen on the screen or not? Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Your PPT is visible, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. So maybe within 5 minutes or maybe after 5 minutes, you will start this.
We'll start the meeting in few minutes, ma'am.
Fine, fine. Take your time. No issue.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual faculty development program. Before we begin, let me guide you through a few instructions to make this experience smooth and enjoyable for all us. Please keep your microphones muted unless you are called to speak. If you have any questions or comments during the event, feel free to use the chat box or comment box and we will address them at the appropriate time. Also, kindly switch on your cameras during the virtual photo session later to make the moment special. So, I'm repeating the general instructions. Please keep your microphones muted unless you are called to speak. If you have any questions or comments during the event, feel free to use the chat box or comment box and we will address them in the right time. Also, kindly switch on your cameras during the virtual photo session later to make the moment special. Now, without further ado, let's move on to our agenda. In every gathering, whether physical or virtual, it is important to start with a moment of reflection and gratitude. To lead us in prayer, I now invite Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to lead us in prayer.
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the holiness of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Almighty and ever-loving God, we glorify and thank your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously remind us of your faithfulness and guidance. May we humbly ask you to shower your blessings on our speaker today of your greatest inspiration, so that she may share the most of her knowledge, a field of expertise, and to her respective topic. May we also observe the invaluable knowledge experience and put it into practice. What we may learn, bless all the participants. May they grow in grace and wisdom, provide them knowledge, understanding, and cognizance. Your infinite blessings would mean the success of this 5-day international faculty development program. May we be the living witness of your genuine love through the enlightenment of the knowledge acquired through this act. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, sir, for those beautiful words. Now, I would like to call Mrs. V. Ashwita, Head Department of English, to formally welcome you all for this today's International FDP. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes, sorry for interfering. In between, my another idea, my PPT is stopped here. I think, please let me in again.
Good afternoon, all to present here. Good afternoon, all present here. Ma'am, I welcome. Good afternoon, all present here. As we begin this event, let us first seek the Lord's blessings for His grace and guidance throughout the day. I would like to acknowledge our esteemed founder, Reverend Father Dr. J.E. Harul, whose leadership continues to inspire us, though he is with us today in absentia. A heartfelt welcome to Reverend Sister Dr. M. Baby, our esteemed administrator, for her invaluable support and guidance. I also welcome our principal, Dr. R. Ruben, whose unwavering commitment has been instrumental in the growth of our institution. I also extend my sincere gathering to all the heads of the department whose dedication strengthened the academic framework for this institution. We are honored to have with us the chief guest, Dr. Geetanjali Diwari, Professor, Department of English, DAB PG College, Dehradun, Uttar Pradesh. whose presence enriches this gathering. A warm welcome to all the students, staffs, research scholars, and academicians from various institutions, as well as the technical support team whose efforts behind the scenes make this event possible. Once again, I welcome you all, ma'am. I hand over the session to Mrs. Josephine Sylvia.
Good afternoon, all. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce our esteemed resource person for today's international conference, Dr. Geetanjali Tiwari. Dr. Tiwari is a professor in the Department of English at DAB PG College, Dehradun, where her scholarly contributions have greatly enriched the field of literature. Dr. Diwari's academic journey is both impressive and inspiring. She earned her PhD from Meerut University with a thesis offering a comparative analysis of Thomas Malory's Lee Marty the author and Tennyson's Idylls of the King. Her Master of Philosophy dissertation also delves into Tennyson's work, exploring it as an epic. Her expertise spans modern British fiction, Canadian literature, translation studies, and Indian English literature. She is the author of several significant works, including Literate Terms and Movements and Men and Women Relationship in Contemporary Indian Writings, and has published extensively in both in national and international journals. Beyond her research and publication, Dr. Diwaris actively participates as a research person in numerous seminars and conferences, guides students in their research, and has served as an evaluator in academic competitions, showcasing her dedication to intellectual growth. We are honored to have such a distinguished and eminent research person with us. Once again, I welcome over to today's research person.
Now, this virtual room is handled by our speaker of the day, Dr. Geetanjali Tiwari, Department of English, DAVPG College, Uttar Pradesh. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am? Ma'am, are you still there? Ma'am, Tiwari, ma'am? Participants, please stay on. There is some technical issues. Our speaker is facing some network issue. Please hold on. Don't leave this virtual room. Ma'am? Sivarai ma'am?
Yeah, my video is not working out here. Camera is not working.
Ma'am, your voice is clearly audible for us, ma'am.
Okay, if is it so, can I start my this presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please, ma'am.
Okay, just give me a second, huh? Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is audible and your presentation is clearly visible, ma'am.
Okay, okay. I don't actually, it's raining very heavily out here. So maybe due to that, there was a connection problem.
Yes.
Just a second, there is a call from your Choti, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Yes. Actually, that link is working, but it's raining very heavily out here. So I was unable to connect. Now it's connected. I'm starting my presentation. Sorry for the inconvenience. No, no, not required. This link is working actually. This link is working. Yeah. I'm doing so. Right. Okay. Thank you. Shall I start now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon. I extend my warm regards to convener, Mrs. Aswitha, Dr. Anand Raj, and everyone present here. It's pleasure to be here today to discuss the topic that is a critique of 20th century feminist criticism. Well, as we all know that feminism is a movement that aims to make sure everyone, regardless of gender, has equal rights and opportunities. And it is the work to fix problems where women and other gender minorities are treated unfairly. So we can say that we all know about this movement that is feminism. Well, so am I audible now? Sorry, there is so much of problem of network out here. I'm really very sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is clearly audible and your
Okay,
video is also visible, ma'am.
okay. So, so feminism is a movement that aims to make sure everyone, regardless of gender, has equal rights and opportunities. It works to fix problems where women and other gender minorities are treated unfairly. So, feminism tries to ensure that everyone is treated equal. And as we all know about this, and just briefly want to touch three main ideas. That is, whenever we talk about feminism, the another word that comes to our mind that is feminine. Well, this term is used to describe qualities, roles, or attributes traditionally associated with women or girls. It can include behaviors, or it can include traditionally it is associated with women, and it includes behaviors, appearances, or roles that a society considers typically for women. So, in feminism, there is often a discussion about how feminine traits and roles have been valued or devalued, and how what are the society's expectations. So, this is the meaning of this term. Then comes very commonly used the word that is feminist. Now, what is feminist? A feminist is someone who supports the feminist movement, which seeks to achieve equality between genders. So, feminist advocates for women's rights and challenge societal norms and structures that perpetuate gender based discrimination and inequality. Then comes a very commonly used phase that is called female phase. This is not a standard term in feminist discourse, but it might be used to describe different stages or aspects of women's experiences or roles in society throughout. The history of feminist movement, it could refer to different periods or waves of feminism, each focusing on various issues and goals related to women's right and gender equality. Well, so now let's hit the main topic, the topic which has been given to me today, that is feminist literary criticism. It became very powerful in 20th century, changing how we read and understand literature. Today, here we are going to examine that how feminist criticism developed, will explore the key ideas, and consider the critique shaping this field. Some important theories and debates are also we are going to discuss. And at the same time, we will also seek some examples from Western and Indian English literature, just to demonstrate the influence and significance of feminist criticism. So this was the introduction about the feminist movement that I'm going to talk about. So now moving on to the third slide, that is the early feminist criticism. Okay, so early feminist criticism. Sorry, my slide is visible as an early feminist. Yeah, so this criticism, it focused on addressing the underrepresentation, or I should say misrepresentation and marginalization of women in literature and society, as well as advocating for gender equality. So, feminist critiques of this era laid the groundwork for more expansive feminist theories that would emerge in the 1970s and beyond. So, let's hit some key aspects of early feminist criticism. Well, early feminist criticism critiques here analyze that how women are portrayed in literature. Women are frequently reduced to passive, dependent characters, portrayed as either virtuous mothers or temptresses. So, early feminist critiques sought to challenge these representations, emphasizing that such portrayals reflect the patriarchal values of that time. So, another focus of early feminist criticism was the recovery and revaluation of works by women writers who had been overlooked or marginalized by the predominantly male literary canon. They also laid the groundwork for later feminist theories by challenging patriarchal structures in both literature and society. The critiques of this era worked to re-evaluate women's role, also highlight the contribution of women writers, and also scrutinize gender roles. Well, this period coincided with the first wave of feminism. We are very commonly we have heard this term, that is first wave of feminism, which primarily focused on legal issues such as women's suffrage, property rights, and access to education. So here critics analyze literature through the lens of these struggles, seeking to understand how literary works reflected or resisted the legal and social constraints on women's lives. So here were two main pioneering concepts that prevailed. Number one was patriarchy. So, early feminist criticism began to challenge the dominance of patriarchy in both literature and society. So, here critics analyze that how patriarchal values shaped not only the depiction of women but also the roles of women were permitted to take on in society. Then, another important was that here critics of this period emphasized the importance of giving women their own voice in literature and life. They sought to recover and promote works by women and to ensure that female characters in literature were depicted with some complexity rather than as mere reflection of male desires or ideals. So during this time, the two important writers that I would like to mention here, number one is Virginia Woolf, a very famous work that is the Room of One's Own, which was published in 1929 around. Yeah. So her essay is pivotal in feminist criticism. She explores the historical and material conditions that have prevented women from participating in literature and culture. She very famously argues that for women to write, they need a room of one's own, a metaphor for literal and figurative speech, along with financial independence. Means a woman needs some space to express her views, and at the same time, some financial independence is also required to give her more confidence and to give her a scope to develop her writings or hobbies. For example, we can take the example of the creation of Judith Shakespeare. An imagined sister of William Shakespeare is a powerful allegory. I hope you all know the meaning of allegory. Now, here Woolf argues that even if Judith had Shakespeare's talent, she was very talented, and had Shakespeare's talent, but had to face certain social restrictions. The restrictions were like lack of education, some property rights, and personal freedom, which had barred her from achieving literary greatness. So, if a person of a female having talent but is not given the equal platform, that resulted into that a female or that person was not able to show a genius. So, actually, this example underlines the systematic nature of gender discrimination. Then another important writer I would like to mention, that is Simone de Beauvoir, and her very famous work, that is The Second Sex, which is one of the most important philosophical texts in feminist theory. She introduces the concept of women as the other in patriarchal society. This other word we often hear whenever we are talking about some feminism concept or whenever we are talking about some discrimination. So, this was used or introduced by Simone de Beauvoir, where she feels that men are the default or norm and women are defined in opposition to man. So we can take the example while she writes systematically and analyzes that biological and cultural myths have subordinated women. So her argument for women's autonomy and liberation helped spark the feminist movements of mid 20th century. So now let's move on to another slide, that is the second wave feminism. So we have discussed here early feministism and the first wave. Now we are moving ahead to second wave feminism. Well, so while first wave feminists had focused primarily on issues such as suffrage and legal equality, the second wave feminists expanded its focus from the legal and political equality of women to address deeper societal and structural issues, including reproductive rights, workplace discrimination, sexual liberation, and the pervasive power of patriarchy. So this movement was influential in shaping modern feminist thought and activism, raising consciousness around issues which were previously considered private or individual, but were now recognized as deeply political. So its legacy continues to influence feminist movements still today. So now let's talk about the important authors of the second wave, that is Betty Feridian, and her famous work is The Feminine Mystique. So Feridian condemns the idealization of women as homemakers, a role she argues contributes to a widespread sense of dissatisfaction among women. She introduces the term problem that has no name to describe the unspoken malice of women confined to domestic roles. For example, we can say that Feridian uses personal interviews and case studies to show that many suburban housewives felt unfulfilled despite leading uh, what was considered the perfect domestic life. This sense of dissatisfaction, she says, that is the result of being denied opportunities of self actualization and intellectual growth. So, moving ahead, talking about Kate Millett's another book, that is Sexual Politics. So, this book is one of the first to offer a feminist critique of literature, saying that patriarchal structures are embedded in cultural text, particularly through male dominated narratives. And for example, we can say that her analysis of D.H. Lawrence's Women in Love examines that how male authors often reinforce patriarchal values by portraying women as submissive or secondary to male characters. Her critique highlights the role of literature in perpetuating societal hierarchies. Now, moving ahead, let's talk about Andrene Rich, and her famous work is When We Did Awaken. This essay calls for the inclusion of feminist perspectives in literary criticism, advocating for a broader reconsideration of literary canon. Uh, for as we can say that she emphasizes that literary canon has been shaped largely by male critics and that works by women are often undervalued or misunderstood. So, by analyzing literary works through a feminist lens, she advocates for a more inclusive literary criticism that acknowledges the contributions of women writers. Now, moving ahead to the next slide, that is slide 5, that is third wave feminism. Well, which this third wave feminism emerged in early 1990s. So third wave feminists sought to address the complexities of identity, embracing diversity and intersectionality. This wave of feminism was influenced by the critiques and limitations of the second wave, particularly its perceived focus on experiences of white middle class women. So, third wave feminism worked to include a broader range of perspectives, focusing on race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Also, challenging traditional gender roles and norms. This wave is also marked by a more inclusive, diverse, and decentralized approach to addressing gender inequality, questioning norms for race, class, sexual orientation, and gender identity. This wave sought to challenge the perceived limitation of second wave feminism, including its emphasis on the experience of white middle class women. So, the key writers of this third wave are Rebecca Walker, Well, Rebecca Walker's very famous work is Becoming the Third Wave. Uh, Walker is a prominent voice whenever we talk about third wave feminism. She coined the term third wave in a essay published in MS Magazine. She urged a new generation of women to see themselves as feminist activists. The essay addressed issues such as sexual harassment and urged a renewed commitment to feminist causes, bringing in more inclusive discussions around race and sexuality. So the another important writer that I have taken is Bell Hooks, and her famous work is Feminism is for Everybody, which was published around 2000. Although Hooks began writing before the third wave officially started, so her work is often associated with third wave feminism due to its intersectional approach, which is the important, you can say, the topic of third wave feminism. She argues for a feminism that embraces all women, regardless of race, class, sexual orientation, expanding feminism focus beyond issues typically highlighting by white middle class women. Then her work also discusses that how system of oppression interlock and overlap, advocating for more inclusive feminist theory. Then another writer is Roxane Gay. Her famous work is Bad Feminist that I've taken here. So this is a collection of essay captures the complexity. Gay's collection of essay captures the complexities and contradictions of modern feminism. She examines pop culture, politics, and personal with humor and insight, reflecting the third wave's focus on fluidity of feminism and the need to include diverse, often contradictory voices. Her work represents the third wave embraced of feminism as a movement that challenges traditional norms and redefines feminist
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry for the interruption. Your voice is not audible, ma'am.
regardless of gender and explores the unique challenges faced by African women. Her work helps bridge the gap between Western feminism and the feminist struggle of women from different parts of the world. This is the key element of third wave thought. Now, moving ahead, now let's discuss about the themes of third wave feminism. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. Sorry, the video is not showing, so that's why I thought maybe there is again some network issue. Okay. So,
Participants, kindly hold on. There is some technical issue. We are trying to resolve it from our side. Please hold on. Tiwari ma'am, are you still there?
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Sorry, it is raining very heavily out here, so there is so much of network issues. I'm very, very sorry.
Yes, ma'am, we understood, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. So, let me continue. We were talking about global feminism. So, third wave feminism also became more global in its scope, recognizing challenges studies in different parts of the world were shaped by local cultures. So, it took the landscape. Third wave feminists critique the tendency of Western feminists to import their ideas to feminism onto women from other cultures. So we can say that third wave feminism expanded the feminist movement by embracing diversity, intersectionality, and a new understanding of identity. there was a great fight of identity during this time. It also challenged traditional gender roles, promoted sexual liberation, and advocated for the inclusion of marginalized voices, including women of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, and those from diverse cultural backgrounds. Then moving ahead to the another slide, that is slide number 6, and the major theoretical approaches. Sorry, I don't know whether my slide is visible or not. So the theoretical approaches we are talking about, and that is liberal feminism. So liberal feminism focuses on achieving gender equality through legal and political reform. It argues that women should have the same rights and opportunities as men in areas like education, employment, and political representation. Then comes the radical feminism. Well, the radical feminism critiques the root structures of society that perpetuate gender inequality. It argues that patriarchy is deeply ingrained in every aspect of culture and that mere legal reforms are insufficient. Instead, society itself needs radical restructuring. I hope if my voice you can hear the thunderstorms also. I mean, it's raining so heavily and so scary outside now. Anyways, so moving ahead, there was another theory that was the psychoanalytical feminism theory. Well, this approach applies psychological theory, particularly those derived from Freud and Lacan. This to analyze gender dynamics. Psychoanalytic feminists argue that the subconscious plays a crucial role in the formation of gender identity. Here, we can take the example of Elaine Showalter. And as we all know, that Elaine Showalter talks about gynocriticism or the development of a distinct So Showalter emphasizes that female authors have often been misunderstood when viewed through male-dominated critical frameworks. Then comes the another theory, that is the post-colonial feminism. Well, the post-colonial feminism critiques Western feminist theories for ignoring the unique challenges faced by women in post-colonial society. It advocates for a more inclusive feminism that addresses race, class, and colonial history. And here we can talk about Gayatri Spivak's very famous essay, Can the Subaltern Speak? Critiques Western academic frameworks for silencing marginalized voices, particularly women from formerly colonized societies. So Spivak challenges the assumption that Western feminist discourse can adequately represent the experiences of non-Western women. Then moving ahead, there is the another last but not the least is the another theme that he used, that is the intersectional feminism. Now, intersectional feminism examines that how various forms of identity, such as race, class, gender, and sexuality, intersect and shape individuals' experiences of oppression and privilege. Now, moving ahead to another slide, that is key database and critique. I hope my slide is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Slide is visible, ma'am.
Okay. So now this slide shows that what are the key database and critiques. So first is essentialism and constructivism. Now, this debate centers on whether gender differences are natural or socially constructed. Essentialist view argue that biological difference between men and women justify their different social roles. Traditional literature often reflects this by portraying women as passive or nurturing. In contrast, constructives argue that gender roles are culturally created and can be deconstructed. Then comes the another point, that is the role of identity politics. Well, so this focuses on transgender rights within contemporary feminist movement, underscores the importance of addressing diverse identities. Then there was also the influence of postmodernism. Postmodern feminism challenges fixed or essentialist ideas about gender and identity, emphasizing fluidity and fragmentation. Okay, so now moving ahead to the another slide, that is the, here I have taken some examples from Indian English literature and from Indian English literature. Yeah. Well, Indian English literature here offers rich insight into feminist issues within the context of Indian society, where tradition and modernity are often in clash. Here, let's talk about first the writer, that is the Ismat Chughtai, and a famous work, that is Lihaf. This a short story is a bold exploration of female sexuality and desire, which was highly controversial at the time of its publication. Well, this story addresses the hidden relationship between two women, challenging conservative norms, the repressed women's sexual autonomy. The story critiques the way society policies women's bodies and desire, offering a feminist critique of traditional gender roles in India. Then another writer is Kamla Das, and the book is My Story. Well, this is Das's autobiography and is a candid and unapologetic exploration of a personal experience with gender and sexuality. For example, in My Story, she discusses her struggles with societal expectations, particularly regarding marriage and sexuality. Her refusal to conform to traditional roles makes her a powerful voice in Indian feminist literature, and her works challenges the repression of women's personal and sexual autonomy. Then another writer is Shashi Deshpande, and her famous work, The Long Silence. Well, this novel explores the internal conflict of Jaya, a woman who is caught, I must say, between her roles as a wife and her desire to have some independence. The protagonist struggles to assert her voice in a patriarchal marriage, symbolizes the broader societal expectation that women remain silent and submissive. Now, Deshpande critiques traditional gender roles and advocates for self-discovery and revaluation of women's place in Indian society. This detailed elaboration highlights the richness and diversity of feminist criticism. Across the different time periods, the culture of this detailed elaboration, here she also gives detailed elaboration that highlights the richness and diversity of feminist criticism across different time periods and culture context. Well, feminist thought continues to evolve till now, integrating multiple theoretical perspectives to address the complex realities of gender inequality globally. So now moving ahead to the next slide, that is my slide, which is the conclusion, the last slide, I must say. So here, the 20th century feminist criticism played a pivotal role in transforming literary studies, significantly reshaping the way literature was analyzed and understood. By challenging the long-standing dominance of patriarchal perspectives, it opened up new avenues for exploring the complex interplay between gender, power, and representation in literary works. So, feminist critiques emphasize the need to uncover and amplify women's voice, often marginalized or silenced with traditional literary canons, and highlighted the importance of questioning. They also made in the question the ways in which gender dynamics shape narrative, character development, and literary themes. Though feminist criticism was initially met with resistance, particularly from traditional academic circles, it spurred essential conversation about identity, agency, and social structures that have enriched the field of literary studies. It encouraged scholars to critically examine the cultural, social, and political context of text, so providing a more inclusive and intersectional framework for analysis. Despite its transformative influence, feminist criticism has faced critiques, both from within and outside the movement. Some critics have argued that early feminist approaches were too focused on the experiences of white, middle-class women, often excluding the voices and experiences of women of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, and those from different socio-economic backgrounds. So, as we continue to engage with feminist criticism in 21st century, it remains essential to reflect on its origins and development to fully grasp its ongoing relevance and potential. So, by acknowledging both its strengths and shortcomings, we can appreciate its contribution to literary discourse and ensure that it continues to evolve in response to new challenges. The future of feminist criticism lies in its ability to adapt and integrate multiple perspectives, ensuring that it remains a vibrant and dynamic force in shaping the study of literature. So while discussing this, let's just roughly come to the point that we discussed about three types of feminism. That is the first wave feminism, second wave feminism, third wave feminism, and the still which is going on, that is the fourth wave feminism. So coming to the main point, that is the first wave feminism, actually it focused on, I'm just summing up my PPT, that is the first wave feminism focused on legal issues and inequality, like women's suffrage, etc. Then second wave feminism expanded to issues like workplace rights, sexuality, and reproductive rights. Then third wave feminism addressed issues of diversity and intersectionality, emphasizing that women's experiences are shaped by race, class, and other factors. Then the fourth wave feminism continues to focus on intersectionality, the use and uses digital platforms to raise their issues. So this is the, I have summed up my PPT or my discourse in these points. Well, while discussing this, many people say that what are the strengths and limitations of this movement? Okay, so strength we can say that is the challenge patriarchal literary norms. They have challenged the patriarchal literary norms, and also they have reclaimed women's voices and promoted gender equality. Now, as every moment has some, you can say, some good points and also some points which are supposed to be readdressed. So the limitation I would say is that lacked intersectionality, which often centered on white middle class women and sometimes reinforced essentialist views of womanhood. Okay, so now that is what is now the people say that is what is intersectionality role. Okay, so initially neglected intersectionality became central by late 20th century, ensuring critical addresses race, class, and sexuality alongside gender. Then also they redefined the canon well. Feminist critiques broadened the literary canon by including women and marginalized voices moving beyond male-centric narratives. There was also LGBTQ representation, which was initially overlooked. But this representation gained attention with queer theory in the late 20th century, challenging heteronormativity and binary gender constructs. Then I also talked about liberal and radical feminist criticism. Now, liberal criticism focused on equality within existing systems, expanding the canon, where radical sought to dismantle patriarchal system and challenge the structure of language and narrative. So I hope with so much of network issues, I was able to clear my point. So that's all for my discourse. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Audible, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the insight and thought-provoking presentation, ma'am. You have highlighted Rebecca Walker, Angela Davis, and
Yeah. Uh,
liberal feminism, intersectional feminism. Uh, Such a thought-provoking presentation, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And
okay.
now,
Thank you so much for giving me a patient listening.
ma'am,
Thank you so much.
right now we are moving on to the queries, ma'am. Uh,
Okay.
we now reach the interactive part of our session. If you have any questions, participants, please feel free to drop your questions, queries in the chat box or in comment box. Or if you people want to ask any question, please raise your hands. We will get you in.
Sorry, my video is gone, so you'll have to just tell me the question. I can't see the thing, my screen.
Sure, ma'am. If anyone posted their questions in comment box, surely I will
Okay.
answer, ma'am. Ma'am, our faculty development program is streaming in YouTube, ma'am. There is a question from YouTube in live chat. His name is Rajesh Kumar. He asked, is the form and the content of the work influenced by the writer's gender? I repeat, is the form and content of the
Can't hear you clearly. Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Uh, can you please repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. Is the form and content of the work influenced by the writer's gender?
Uh, Sorry, I'm unable to hear you clearly.
Ma'am,
Hello.
is the form and content of the work influenced by the writer's gender? Ma'am, may I post that in the comment box, ma'am?
Sorry, I can't. The screen has gone actually. From laptop, I'm unable to access that.
Okay,
So
okay,
that is the problem. That's why I've asked you to tell me exactly like what they are trying to ask.
okay, okay, ma'am.
That is, of course, because this queer theory, which is again very commonly used by this our third wave feminism, and which was actually initially was overlooked, but slowly and slowly it got attention. And in late, I can say the 20th century, it has started challenging heteronormity and binary gender constructs. So yes, of course, this theory is in, but at the same time, this theory has not given the too much of, has not gained too much of support from all the sides. Yeah, so this theory is still there, but much criticism is also there on this theory. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible, ma'am. Ma'am, there is another one question
Yeah.
regarding the radical feminism. You have mentioned in your presentation. What is the
Yeah,
future
yeah.
scope if we do research in radical feminism?
Okay. So, see, these are the two, that is liberal versus radical. So, if we understand liberal, automatically we will be able to understand that is what is the radical feminist criticism. So, liberal is which is focused on equality within existing system. That is, if a girl is there, has got certain limitation, but even then, she should given be the all opportunity to study or to like get the proper equal footage, just like a boy. So the norm is accepted. The girl is girl. Okay, so whatever she will be getting, means she should get everything what another male members are getting. But now when we come to radical feminist criticism, they are trying to dismantle patriarchal system, and they say that it should be in reverse. There should be no limitation for a woman or a girl that related to their language, related to their you can say appearance. So there should not be any limitation. So liberal is accepting the fact that there is a man and a woman, and every woman should get equal chance. But radical says that there should be a dismantling of patriarchal system, that is to reversing the patriarchal system. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other query?
Participants, if you have any other queries, kindly post your queries in the comment section. Those who are watching in the YouTube live streaming, the chat box is open for you. Thank you, participants. Thank you all for your queries and for active listening. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for giving me a patient listening, and I'm very sorry. It's still raining very heavily in Dehradun, and due to that, maybe I think I have lost the connection, net connection. If you want, I can give my lecture once again also, in case if you feel like tomorrow or any other day. In case the other students want, I can just give the lecture once again, in case if they require. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, we have another two questions asked in the YouTube live streaming, ma'am. Just I'm reading it. How would you expect a female character to be presented in the piece of 18th century literature compared to the piece of 21st century literature?
Sorry, can you please repeat? Your voice is echoing actually. I'm not able to get it properly.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
How would you expect a female character to be presented in the piece of 18th century literature compared to a piece of 21st century literature?
Okay. Well, so 21st century literature, the feminist movement, they are talking about the all sort of liberation of women. And we talk about if the 18th century women, they were writing with the other pen names. Okay, so they were writing, they were showing their talent, but were not able to, were not very clear whether they should put their original name or not. So that is the, I think, is the basic difference, and the, I must say, the best difference that have been seen during this time. That women are writing, they want their appreciation, they want their work to be recognized. At the same time, they are balancing each and everything. So this is the thing. I think I have answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. There is another one question.
Yeah.
Whether evolving feminism results in subversion of masculinity or considers masculinity in a equal manner. This is a question asked in a YouTube live streaming by Gunasilan.
Sorry, can you please repeat the question? Thoda slowly. Can you please speak slowly because your voice is going here.
Yes, ma'am, sure, ma'am. Whether evolving feminism results in subversion of masculinity or
Okay.
considers masculinity in a equal manner.
Okay. No, yeah. So now they are on the equal footage. They are not suppressing masculinity, and actually they are talking more about not only about the masculinity. They are talking about transgenders. They are talking about you can say about another, you can say, gay or lesbians. They want equal footage for everyone now. And in this process, the what we say LGBTQ, in this process, they have lost their, you can say, clear idea. So now the critiques are saying that they should be bit more focused instead of talking all the aspects or all the spheres of society and life. They should talk about more about the equality in all the spans of life and society. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we are winding up the Q&A session. Once again, thank you, Dr. Geetanjali Tiwari, ma'am, for enriching us with your wisdom, and we truly appreciate your presence today with us, ma'am, virtually. Next,
Thank you so much. I'm really very sorry. From my end, I don't know whether it was from my end or what happened, due to heavy rainfall, so I lost the connection. But somehow at least I was able to speak and you could hear me. So really thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you, ma'am. Participants, now it's time to capture this virtual photo group session. I kindly request everyone to turn on their cameras. We will wait for a moment while everyone gets ready. Please turn on your cameras. Participants, right now we have virtual group photo. Please turn on your cameras. There are so many comments I could able to read in the YouTube live streaming. We will post the feedback link after the session got over. Please wait till that hold on. Don't leave the virtual room. Don't leave the streaming. Again, please switch on your cameras. Participants, please switch on your cameras. Thank you, everyone. Right now, we're moving on to the vote of thanks. Time to gratitude. Okay. On behalf of our St. Joseph College Arts and Science Kovur, thank you all for joining us in this virtual room. It's been an honor to have you all with us today, and we look forward for many such gatherings. Wish you all a wonderful day, and tomorrow we shall meet you in another session. Thank you all. Have a blessed day. Special thanks to the day's speaker. Before we bring today's event to close, I would like to take a moment to gently remind everyone that is essential for all participants to complete the feedback form. Please note that submitting the feedback form is mandatory as it is plays a crucial role in the documentation. I repeat, please note that submitting feedback form is mandatory. We have posted a feedback form in the comment section as well as in the chat box. People, those who are in the YouTube live streaming, make use of it. Participants, those who are in YouTube live streaming, we have posted the feedback link. Kindly make use of it. Participants who are in Google Meet, kindly check out the messages.